the first time since fire signals, made distant communication possible without the need to transport the message physically.
This is an example of a Civil War telegraph key. This particular example is called a camelback because of the hump of the lever arm for the key. What you would have here are a couple of contacts that once the contacts are closed, a spark is created which travels along a line to a sounder. This would be at a distant station, and the spark goes through these coils here and through induction makes this lever arm click against the other.
Battlefield reports now travelled at electric speed. The dashes and dots of Morse code still needed to be translated, but distant commanders could coordinate quickly without leaving their command posts.
Military telegraph was used to connect general headquarters to corps headquarters, down to division headquarters, but it usually didn't extend much farther than that, down to the company level, down to the foot soldier, the front lines, if you will.
Below division commander, communication was verbal. General Grant, who had a telegraph key at his command post, could send messages to President Lincoln in Washington faster than he could send messages to his own lieutenants. But the telegraph presented its own challenges.
There are attempts to link division commanders with corps commanders, with army commanders at Gettysburg by running telegraph wire. And the experiment was partially successful. A skilled telegrapher could send messages quite quickly, so you could get an answer back in 15 or 20 minutes to a query.
A command post like Grant's, usually established in a nearby commandeered home or even a church, might have anywhere from 5 to 15 men, mostly clerks, manually copying orders. Others would gather information from couriers and dispatch it to officers. Still others would man the telegraph. Tables were used to display maps of nearby battlefields. These maps might even include topographic information gathered by map-making scouts. The second revolutionary technology that changed the Civil War command post was the railroad.
The railroad kind of drove the telegraph. In other words, with the railroad being able to move a large number of troops quickly, you had to have means to get that word to the commander.
A steam locomotive could sustain speeds far exceeding the top speed of a horse, as long as the track was maintained, and the military could transport far more than just couriers.
It was able to utilize the railroad in moving large numbers of troops rapidly to the field. Jefferson Davis himself, for example, at the First Battle of Manassas, telegraphing the commander on the field to bring reinforcements, and they arrived by railroad.
Command posts were able to collect remote information, evaluate it, then swiftly act with decisive force. The North controlled more telegraph lines and railroad track than the South, so communication was their tactical advantage, as long as the post could manage all the intelligence. In addition to bureaucracy, centralization created another burden, at least from a military perspective: civilian oversight.
These telegraph lines become very important to connecting Army field commanders to the Central Command in Washington at the War Department. That's where the telegraph lines all fed into. Curiously enough, they never continued the telegraph lines over to the White House just across the street. Abraham Lincoln would make his daily journeys from the White House and sit patiently listening to the ticker machines bring in the reports.
As important as the telegraph and the railroad were to the evolution of command posts, they would both be eclipsed by innovations in communication technology that took place in the years following the end of the Civil War.